Hello, and thank you for joining us for this week's Kalamazoo State Theater Artist Spotlight Series live stream event. My name is Harry Phillips, and we have a very special performance for you today. We're really excited, so make sure to tag your friends, share the stream, and get your questions ready. First, I'd like to thank our partners, News Channel 3, the Millennium Restaurant Group, and the Radisson Plaza Hotel. He is most widely known as the longtime keyboardist and backing vocalist for Kid Rock and the Twisted Brown Trucker Band, but he's also an accomplished solo artist, singer, and songwriter, delivering gritty, soulful melodies backed by a driving piano. Please welcome to the Kalamazoo State Theater virtual stage, Jimmie Bones.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Thanks for joining me in my living room here, and thank you, Harry, and the Kalamazoo State Theater for hosting this. Ironically, I do a lot of videos. I've been doing videos for years from my living room. This is the first ever live stream I've ever done, and sort of ironically, it's on the eve of when things are pretty much opening back up. A lot of my musician friends are going back out and being able to gig live. So live music for the people, everybody. Are you ready for some music? Are you ready to have a good time? I've been feeling lots of love from everybody lately. Are you feeling that love? Yeah. Are you ready to bring it on over? Are you ready to bring it on over? Are you ready to bring it on over? Bring it on over. Baby, bring it on over for me. Bring it on over. Bring it on over for me. Bring it to you, baby, baby, say it's alive. Gonna sting you with the lights down low. You can be the pretty baby, in my heart. If you just let your honey roll. Bring it on over. Baby, bring it on over me. Bring it on over. Bring it on over me. It's you, baby, baby, say it's alive. Gonna sting you with the lights down low. You can be the pretty baby in my heart. If you just let your honey roll. When you on that walk, when you baby talk, don't you keep me waiting. You got it, so bring it, baby, bring it on over. put out a record a couple of years ago by the name of Snake Bitten Wander, and my good friend Mr. Tino Gross produced it. I had a lot of great friends play on it: Mr. Johnny B. Bedanchik, Jim McCarty, Wayne Kramer, Tony Gagne, Eric Gustafson, Mary Cobra. Anyways, here's the title track to it, Snake Bitten Wander. To the mat, I used to smoke it, and now I spin it. Playing cards with the devil, drew a losing hand, like it's not living in the Snake bit so many times that this day, you don't know what it would be like just to turn and walk away. But it's sure enough got me with me. I'm gonna be snake bit and wandering. With me, I'm gonna be snake bit and wandering. So many things you said never were true, but when you wrote it down, you know what I'm staring down the barrel of a gun. If I put a 20, baby, I'll make it 20. Been snake bit so many times before, don't know what it would be like to not a trouble at my door. But it sure enough got me to with me. I'm gonna be snake bit and wandering. With me, I'm gonna be snake bit and wandering. I don't know with what I'm feeling, but it's sure enough got me feeling. With me, I'm gonna be snake bit and wandering. Yeah, when you're through with me, I'm gonna be snake bit and wandering. Yeah, when you're through with me, I'm gonna be snake bit and wandering, wandering around aimlessly, with the venom flowing right through me. Here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go. Whoa, 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 whoa. With the venom flowing through my veins. All right. Something from that same record, and this is called When It's Your Turn to Cry. doing. If you're needing more than a friend when it's your turn to cry. River of heartaches flows from your eyes when it's your turn to cry. Follow me, baby, when it's your turn to cry. On that lion has left you wrecked with sorrow and hurting. You're denying its tears fall from your eyes to the floor. Alone in the cold, feeling like the final curtain. Call on me and I'll be there, knocking at your door. In the darkness, left behind. Red light ain't so easy to find when it's your turn to cry. See through the tears how love left you blind when it's your turn to cry. Call me, baby, when it's your turn to cry. When it's your turn to cry. When you find easy to find when it's your turn to cry. See through the tears how love left you blind when it's your turn to cry. Call me, baby, when it's your turn to cry. When it's your turn to cry, you're burning inside. 'Cause it's your turn to cry. Feeling the pain 'cause the love has no return. Feeling the burn 'cause the love has no return. Feeling the burn 'cause your love has no return. All right. So I just released a couple of songs recently, and they're on iTunes and Apple Music and Spotify and all your favorite online music grocers. And this is something that I wrote, and it has to do with the struggles of parenthood or fatherhood or motherhood, or just being that one person who loves and puts everyone else before yourself. And it's something called Through Hell, for heaven's sake. I am an honest man, just making my way. Never gonna outrun the moon, but I'm gaining on judgment day. I'm giving my heart, never winning my break, and I give my hand for a fishing. I am a working man, I got one life to live. Rough hands and a simple plan. I got one soul to give. Giving more than I take. And I go through hell for heaven's sake. See the light in my children's eyes. Love them with all my might. Show them trust and honesty, so they learn to walk upright. Giving my heart, never worried in my brain. Still trying to learn from my mistakes. I am a working man, I got one life to live. Rough hands and simple plan, I got I'm still a bit in my morning voice, so just had I had some coffee very early when I got up about 7 o'clock this morning. All right, there's a lot of crazy, just a lot of craziness going on in the world right now, and this song has to do with change. People are calling for change. People are crying out for change, and a lot of change is wanted. A lot of change is needed. And this song has to do with that. There's changes that are called for, changes that are cried out for and needed. There's the changes that occur when you're born, from the time you're born to the time you exit. And this is called Come As You Are. You can come as you are, but you're never going to leave as you came. This world's going round and round, turntable keeps on spinning. Folks are rolling on the tracks of time. Some are losing and some are winning. Standing strong, barely holding on, searching for your beginning. When you look at yourself, I hope you see clearly. You can't lie to the maker, you can't lie to the mirror. You can come as you are, but you're never gonna leave as you came. Time goes by like drops of rain down the window pane. You can come as you are, but you're never gonna leave as you came. Days pass by, clocks keep on ticking. Words so easily spoken. Back is turned and the nap is sticking. Promises made and breaking. Heart is broken, the soul is stricken. Now the gun is smoking. When you look at yourself, I hope you see clearer. You can't lie to the maker, you can't lie to the mirror. Some say it's all in the cards, and the only thing certain is change. But then change comes around to the same old same. You can come as you are, but you never gonna leave as you came. Lying in your getaway, going over your mistake. Trying to catch on a break, but this is all too much to take. All right. If you just joined in, I want to thank you for joining us today from my living room, and thanks again to the Kalamazoo State Theater, Harry Phillips, for hosting this. A lot of people know me as a blues piano player. It's really just where I come from. But I spent a lot of hours when I was a kid holed up in my bedroom with just my turntable and my stack of records, and it would range from everything to Howlin' Wolf, to the Rolling Stones, to Muddy Waters, to Spooky Tooth, to the Spencer Davis Group, and the great Stevie Winwood, Traffic. But this song right here, I always thought would make a great blues song, and I think I'm gonna try it like that right now. This is the first time. It's a little experiment for you. Set it up a little bit. Hoping to fumble the words. You say you stand by your man. I wanna know something I don't understand. You said you love me, that's a fact. And then you left me, saying you felt trapped. But the things you can't explain away. And the heartaches with me till this day. Did you stand by me? No, not at all. Did you stand by me? No way. Now all the time that we were close, I remember these things the most. I've seen all my dreams come tumbling down. Been happy without you now. So alone I think the wolves have me. But there's only one thing I can say. Did you stand by me? No, not at all. Did you stand by me? No way. You must explain what this must be. Did you lie when you spoke to me? Did you stand by me? No, not at all. Now I got a job Hey, I need new clothes, need somewhere to stay. But without all of these things I can do, without your love, I won't make it through. But you don't understand my point of view. I suppose there's nothing I can do. Did you stay by me? No, not at all. Did you stand by me? No way. Did you stand by me? No, not at all. Did you stand by me? No way. You must explain why this must be. When did you lie when you spoke to me? Did you stand by me? No, not at all. Stand by me? No way. Who doesn't love the Clash? I love the Clash. I could hear them doing it that way too. So, if you've seen the posts and you've seen some of the other things that I've done, there's a tip jar there, and it's directly linked. Any donations that you make to the tip jar are going to go to a very good cause, and they go directly in. And it's the Dick Wagner Remember the Child Memorial Fund. And Dick Wagner, as most of you know, put it this way: any guitar player who is worth his salt in the business knows who Dick Wagner is and has studied Dick Wagner, his recordings with Frost. I discovered a band, very young, Ursa Major, that Dick was in. And, he went on to do so many things, played a lot of the guitar along with Steve Hunter on the Aerosmith Get Your Wings record. He was quite a songwriter too, had a lot of classical influence, and a really beautiful human being. Went on to work really closely with Bob Ezrin, and as a producer, and co-wrote and played on a lot of the Alice Cooper recordings, and another hero of mine, Alice Cooper. But and what he did, he a few years back, Dick Wagner suffered a stroke and had to relearn to play the guitar, which he did, and went out and did a lot of gigs, and we became friends. I was blessed and honored to be in his presence in the studio and do some recording with him, play some piano for him, and wow, I was in awe, but just a really beautiful human being. And along with Susie Michelson and Victoria Woody, keeping on his legacy with the Dick Wagner Memorial Fund, Remember the Child Memorial Fund. And what that does is it provides music therapy and musical instruments for hospitalized children. So anyways, what I'd like to do here, this is the first time I'm ever doing this for anybody except my kids, and my wife and the dogs, and anybody that's around here. But this is a really huge Alice Cooper hit that Dick Wagner wrote. And I remember when it hit the airwaves, it just blew me away back then. So I'm gonna take my my raggedy stab at it. So. If there's a tear on my face, it makes me shiver to the bone, shakes me big. It's just a heartache they got caught in my eye. But you know, I never cry. I never cry. Sometimes I drink more than I need. Until the TV's dead and gone. I might be lonely, but I'm never alone. In the night, may pass me by, but I never cry. Take away my eyes. Sometimes I'd rather be blind. Break my heart of stone. Open it up and don't you leave it alone. 'Cause that's all I got to give to you. Believe me, babe, it ain't been used. My heart's a virgin, it ain't never been tried. But you know, I never cry. And you know, I never cry. Well, you know, I never cry. I never cry. Break a heart of stone. Open it up and don't you leave it alone. 'Cause that's all I got to give to you. Believe me, babe, it ain't been used. My heart's a virgin, it ain't never been tried. But you know, I never cry. I never cry. Yes, huge Alice Cooper hit. Love that song. It does bring a tear to my eye when I hear it. So, anyways, if you'd care to make a donation, and it helps a lot. And I think a lot of it is going directly to the C.S. Mott Children's Hospital here in Michigan. Anyways, moving forward. Something else from Snake Bitten Water. want to know my name. And girl, I tell no lies, you're playing with fire. Then you're gonna do the walk of shame. Do you still think you want to know my name? Do you still think you want to know my name? I'm just the one who's gonna leave you crying. Run while you can, girl, I'm not lying. See, you're in the mood for play. You're not showing any signs of shame. Do you still think you want to know my name? Do you still think you want to know my name? Because I won't be here tomorrow. But I'm a hurricane that you can't tame. Do you still think you want to know my name? Do you still think you want to know my name? Here's your chance to run away. You should take it. Lose your heart on me, girl, and I'm gonna surely gonna break it. I'll stop these songs, gonna put it together because of the title of this one. I'm not in love, so don't forget it. It's just a silly phase I'm going through. And just because I call you up, don't get me wrong, don't think you got me. I'm not in love, no. I like to see you, but then again, that doesn't mean you mean that much to me. So if I call you, don't make a fuss. Don't tell your friends about the two of us. I'm not in love, no. Ooh, you wait a long time for me. Ooh, you wait a long time. Ooh, I think I'm at the point. I've got one more song for you. So I just want to thank you all for coming out. Those that joined in, those that welcome to my home, welcome to my living room, and I'm so happy that we'll be able to see people out in the clubs again and in the bars, and just be able to listen to live music and play live music. And to me, man, it's one of the greatest things in life, one of the greatest enjoyments of life. So, and you know what? We do that because we can't get enough of you. Thanks for joining me, and much love, one love to everybody. Everybody be safe, and love y'all. Thank you. That's all, folks.
Nice
Let me do
job.
something real quick here.
Can you hear me?
So I can hear you.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you so much.
That was amazing. I really the Clash cover, "Train in Vain." What a
Thank
nice take
Susie.
on that. Very different.
Susan Michaels. Oh yeah, you know what? I just started messing with that the other day, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. This will be fun. I do that song in my set.
Yeah, it was a cool take on it.
Snake Pit Wanderers, and we've always done it, the traditional way. Which, I mean, you can't mess with that groove. You cannot mess with that groove. But I'm like, and then I'm playing it, and I'm like, wow, this is like really a blues figure, man.
Yeah. It's very cool. Very cool. I love when people have like a very unique take on a song like that. It's really cool. So submit your questions now if you have any for Jimmie. I'll go ahead and kick things off though. I read a lot in your bio. But I mean, what was the moment that really you said, I want to be in music. I want to be a musician. What was it that got you as a kid that just said, that's it, this is what I want to do?
Well, that's funny because I was always flipping back and forth because I grew up and spent a lot of time on my grandfather's farm, with his brothers. My upbringing was a bit like, if you've ever seen that movie Secondhand Lions, where you get shipped out, up north, with your grandparents and two bachelor uncles who are living, pretty much by their own rules, man. But I've never seen anybody work harder than them, and it really instilled a work ethic in me. But as far as music, and then I'll be dating myself. I remember seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show at my grandfather's house on a Sunday night,
Yeah.
and then my parents brought the records home, and I just sat and listened to those things and immersed myself in them. And then shortly after that, we're a Sunday night, and I was at my grandfather's, and we're watching the Ed Sullivan Show, and here's these guys named the Rolling Stones, and I'm like, no, those guys are way cooler. I want to be them.
Nice. And why the piano?
That's funny because I always, thought I'd play the guitar or something, and I would just sing all the time too when I was
Yeah.
a kid. I really remember being maybe 5 years old or so and listening to those first two Beatles records, and like, wait, there's all these other notes going on. So I kind of was teaching myself to sing, harmonies and picking out those notes. And I guess it without knowing it, I was training my ear. So, I thank my parents for buying those records.
Yeah.
But the piano came about because there was a store that was selling Hammond organs, and they gave you like 10 free lessons. And we visited a relative's house who had one, and my folks kind of got tuned in with that, and it was really meant for my mother and my sister to get, bring this Hammond organ into the house. And right around the same time, my dad brought this record home that just totally blew my wig back, and it was called The Wildest Organ in Town by this really young badass organ player, piano player by the name of Billy Preston. And it just flipped me out, and he's just playing all these cool R&B covers of the day, and on a Hammond organ on a B3. And I'm like listening to that, and I'm like, wait, that's what this is over here. So I ran with it.
Wow. That's lucky. Not many people have something like that in their house normally, right?
I have never had any piano lessons. I've not taken one piano lesson my
Wow.
whole, and it can be good, and it's I'm sure my people watch me play and like, oh my God, this guy's technique is horrible. I've never learned classical. All I've done is listen to records and picked out what people have been doing, and that's probably where a lot of my bad habits come from as far as playing.
Well, a lot of good music, obviously. I was reading the laundry list of people you've worked with, and it's a pretty impressive list, right? I mean, outside of just Kid Rock, I mean, I saw Bob Seger in there, I saw Billy Gibbons in there, Sheryl Crow. Outside of Kid Rock, I mean, what was one of the coolest ones that you worked on, or one of the coolest artists that you worked with outside of Kid?
You know what? When Bob Seger has had me come in to play piano a few times, and that guy is the nicest guy as far as working with him in the studio, as far as he makes you feel. I walk out of there feeling like I'm Dr. John or something. He just very, very, very upbeat and just legitimately excited about it. He's still that 16-year-old kid that, is just blown away by rock and roll and is on fire. And Bob Seger is still that guy, man. So that's always a treat, on stage, sharing a stage with somebody. I was always the biggest fan of the Jay Giles band. And then a few years back, with the Kid Rock, we did a whole tour with Peter Wolf, and that was the Rock and Roll Revival tour. So we'd come out and do maybe a half a set, and then we'd bring Peter Wolf out on the stage and do 4 or 5 songs, and we would do Must Have Got Lost, and he would do the whole Repute of the Butte speech before, so we were sitting there and he's doing the James Brown hits, and we're like, bam, 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 that was a highlight of my life,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I guess opening for the Rolling Stones, when we opened for the Rolling Stones, that was like, okay.
That had to be pretty surreal, seeing how that was one of your big inspirations, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
thinking about that.
And again, those guys, even they've been doing it for 50 plus years, and they came around at the same time of the Beatles, but they're still going. They're still
Mhm.
going. And a lot of bands that when we were opening for people before we started doing headliners, a lot of the big bands don't come in and do sound checks. Their crews checking on, they roll in, bam, do the show, out. The Rolling Stones are there all day, like it's their first tour, and they go up and do an actual sound check and everything. I mean, these guys are the icons of
Right.
anybody in rock and roll in the world, and they still go on and do a sound check. And and I mean, Keith Richards is really, he's still just trying to be a blues man,
Right.
bigger stage.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, real quick, you played us. You mentioned that you released a couple of singles this year.
Yes.
Is there anything else in the works for you here coming up from a solo standpoint?
I'm always writing. I'm always writing, and some of the stuff, I send demos to Bob for like the next Kid Rock records and whatnot, and hopefully pick some of that stuff up. And so there's been times where he has, and then there's been times where he's passed on a demo, and then I release it myself.
Nice.
So that was one of the like Bring It On Over. That was something that we tracked, and I ended up releasing it myself, but and a few other things, but yes, I'm always writing, and I definitely want to get back in the studio, when people are more comfortable and things open up.
Right.
But I've got a little workspace here at home when I can scratch out demos and things like that. But I'm constantly writing.
Awesome.
I'm still
Well,
learning, and I'm still trying to figure this stuff out.
that's why you're good, because
Well,
you continue to learn, right? Continue to learn.
always learn, yeah.
So everyone can check out those two singles and your 2017 album, correct, on JimmieBones.com?
Yes, that is on, JimmieBones.com, and it's Jimmie Bones. If you spell it with a Y, it won't take you to right. But yeah, Snake Bitten Wandering is up there. It's also on the Funky D Records website. And then the two singles that I released you can get to them through JimmieBones.com. That'll take you to Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play, all, everything, Pandora.
Awesome.
Everything.
Was going to let you go, and we just had a question pop in.
Okay. Dan Lambert, when am I going to be playing in the Kalamazoo area? Any plans? I don't have anything planned, but I would love to come there and do a gig with the Snake Bit Wanderers. So,
well, we'd love to have
it canceled out. We were supposed to do a festival in June here, the Hell of a Fest, and I did it last year. And then, with the pandemic and things shutting down, of course, they canceled. So hopefully we get back to, back to normal and back to being able to get out there and enjoy music and food and just, everybody, one love for everybody.
I hear you. Well, again, thank you very much. Phenomenal performance. When things do open back up, we'd love to see you in Kalamazoo. We appreciate you joining us for the Artist Spotlight series. If you don't mind, would you want to play us out with a little something?
Yeah, let's see what I could do. How long are you going to take it for?
30 seconds or so.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take it a little longer because
all right.
This is something that I do, and I'm a huge Traffic fan. So, okay, and it's a little bit of a mashup, so let it go a little longer because it goes into something else. Spark a high heel, boys. come a long, long way together. Through the hard times and the good, I wanna celebrate.